What unfolds when a CEO places an order at his own fast food establishment and encounters a revelation so startling that it compels him to reevaluate everything? Ethan Graves rested against his vehicle in the lot of one of his fast food establishments, gazing at the illuminated sign. The late afternoon air was alive with the hum of drive-through orders and the steady flow of walk-in customers. On paper, his business was flourishing with 10 stores spread across the region, consistent profits, and a devoted customer base. However, recently the grievances had begun to accumulate. Clients have expressed their frustrations regarding impolite staff, sluggish service, and frequent errors in their orders. Ethan sensed that something was amiss. He had crafted this enterprise from the ground up, yet as the leader, he now found himself predominantly occupied with meetings, scrutinizing reports, and planning for expansion. It had been over a year since he last visited one of his stores, and many of the team members had yet to meet him in person. It had transformed into a corporate chain, with managers overseeing the daily operations. He came to the unsettling realization that he was completely unaware of the true events unfolding around him. Trading his typical sharp suit for worn jeans, a cozy hoodie, and a baseball cap, Ethan had fully embraced the art of disguise. His typically smooth face was obscured by a rugged beard he had been cultivating for weeks. He appeared nothing like the poised, self-assured leader his staff had glimpsed in the sporadic corporate communications. To them, he would merely be another patron. Pulling the cap down to shield his eyes, Ethan stepped into the restaurant. The aroma of fried chicken and French fries filled the air, yet the atmosphere resonated with disengaged. The cashier, a young woman with weary eyes and a name tag that read Maria, hardly looked up as he made his way to the counter. "Welcome," she said with a lackluster tone, her lips not curving into a smile. "Hello," Ethan remarked nonchalantly. "Can I get a number 3 combo, extra sauce?" Maria typed it into the register, her eyes fixed on the screen. "That's $8.99. Ethan handed her a $10 bill, but just as she was about to return his change, a booming voice echoed from the back. "Maria, pick up the pace. You're moving like a sloth in winter." Ethan's gaze shot to the back of the kitchen. A man, likely in his mid-30s, clad in a manager's uniform, was casting a fierce glare at Maria. He stood tall and broad-shouldered, exuding an air of arrogance that instantly set Ethan on edge. Maria's cheeks turned a deep shade of crimson as she awkwardly handled the cash drawer. "I apologize, Apologies won't suffice," the man snapped. "You're fortunate I haven't let you go yet. I can't fathom why I tolerate your presence." Ethan's stomach nodded. The manager's tone towards Maria was not just unprofessional. It was degrading. Maria passed Ethan his change with shaky hands, deliberately looking away. "Are you all right?" Ethan inquired softly, yet Maria merely nodded and rushed away to prepare another order. As Ethan moved to the side to await his meal, the manager casually approached the counter. "Hey there, pal," he said to Ethan, managing a smile. "Apologies for the delay. It's tough to find reliable assistants nowadays," Ethan remarked, raising an eyebrow, uncertain of how to reply. Before he had the chance to speak, the manager leaned in with a sense of intrigue. "Honestly, Maria's a hopeless case, constantly screwing up orders and taking her sweet time, but corporate has me tied down. Something about maintaining diversity metrics." He sighed dramatically. Ethan felt a sinking sensation in his chest. The offhand brutality of the remark struck him with the force of a gut punch. Maria faced not only criticism but also a palpable distance, treated as if she were merely a number, overlooked and undervalued. Ethan maintained a calm tone, despite the struggle it required. "Isn't it your responsibility to help her if she's having a hard time?" the manager scoffed. "Help her? I can't waste my time babysitting. Regardless, enjoy your meal, pal." He smacked the counter and strode away, leaving Ethan fuming. As Ethan settled in to eat, he began to notice more unsettling details. Maria was the sole individual attending to the tables, managing orders and operating the register, while her colleagues lingered nearby, engaged in idle conversation. Customers became increasingly annoyed by the sluggish service, yet it appeared that no one else was concerned. Except for Maria, who remained focused and dedicated, persevering through the ongoing criticism. Ethan chose to linger a little longer. He observed Maria manage a disrespectful customer with remarkable patience and noted her sincere apologies for a delayed order, despite it not being her fault. It was evident that she valued her work and the patrons, yet she was being treated poorly. The breaking point arrived when Maria inadvertently let a tray of food slip from her hands. The manager rushed over, his voice booming for everyone in the restaurant to hear. "Are you utterly incompetent? You're costing me money?" Maria said, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, yet she knelt down to tidy the mess in silence. Ethan reached his breaking point. His hands balled into fists as he grappled with a whirlwind of feelings. He had arrived with the intent to observe, but the reality before him was far more harrowing than he had ever envisioned. The service was not merely subpar. It was an atmosphere steeped in toxicity. He realized that leaving without taking action was not an option. To be continued. Ethan rose suddenly, abandoning his tray of unfinished food. Though he lacked a clear plan, he understood that remaining quiet was no longer an option. He made his way to the counter, where the manager leaned casually against the soda machine, absorbed in his phone as if nothing was amiss. The scene only fueled Ethan's fury. Maria remained hunched on the floor, gathering the spilled food with deliberate, cautious motions. A few patrons cast her sympathetic looks, yet none chose to intervene. Ethan couldn't dispel the haunting vision of her crimson, tear-streaked eyes. "Hey," Ethan called out, his tone cutting as he neared the manager. The man glanced upward, visibly taken aback. "Yeah. What's going on? So you're the one in charge here, correct?" Ethan inquired, maintaining a steady yet assertive tone. "Yeah, that's me," he said, his chest swelling with pride. "Why? Is there a problem?" Ethan asked, nodding toward Maria, who continued to scrub the floor. "That's the issue, the manner in which you've been treating her." The manager's expression grew somber. "Listen here, I'm not sure what gives you the right to interfere, but this situation doesn't concern you. She's under my supervision, and I will manage her as I deem appropriate." Ethan stepped in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper meant solely for the manager's ears. "It concerns me when someone is humiliated in front of an audience. Is that what you call leadership?" The manager blinked, briefly taken aback by Ethan's fervor. Yet he swiftly regained his composure, a smirk playing on his lips. "What are you, some sort of corporate overseer? Go finish your fries and let me handle my responsibilities." Ethan tightened his jaw but remained silent. He understood that directly challenging the manager as a customer wouldn't yield significant results. He craved a deeper insight, a clearer grasp of the complexities at play. He pivoted and exited the restaurant, yet not without locking eyes with Maria first. She glanced up for a moment, her expression marked by fatigue and a hint of shame, but swiftly resumed her work. Ethan resolved to have a conversation with her later, when the situation was more favorable. The following day, Ethan made his way back to the same spot, this time cloaked in an even more elaborate disguise. He donned the attire of a food delivery driver, featuring a branded cap and a thermal bag that completed the look. He understood that this position would grant him the freedom to navigate the restaurant seamlessly, without attracting excessive notice. Upon his entrance, he noticed the manager, identified by the name tag reading Carl, raising his voice at a young employee, a teenager who appeared to be no older than 16. The young lad grappled with the weight of a hefty box filled with frozen provisions as he maneuvered it toward the back room. "Let's go, Kevin. Are you acting like a child? Use your legs," Carl snapped, shaking his head in exasperation. Kevin muttered an apology, his face flushed with effort. Carl grumbled softly to himself before turning away and leaving. Ethan walked over to Kevin, who set the box down with a resounding thud. "Hey there, kid. Are you all right?" Kevin looked up, taken aback. "Oh, sure. I'm good. Just doing my best to stay on track, you know?" Does he behave that way all the time? Ethan inquired, gesturing towards Carl, who was now engaged in conversation with a fellow employee. Kevin paused for a moment, then gave a slight shrug. Exactly. He's more difficult when the store is crowded. But I need this job, so I just put up with it. Ethan felt a tightness in his chest. He expressed his gratitude to Kevin and proceeded to the rear, where Maria was busy restocking the shelves. As he walked in, she glanced up, a flicker of recognition brightening her expression. Hey! Ethan murmured gently. You're Maria, aren't you? She nodded, her expression tinged with caution. Yes. How may I assist you? I was present here yesterday. I noticed the way Carl treated you. Ethan started. Has it always been this way? Maria's gaze flicked to the door, anticipation hanging in the air as she seemed to await Carl's sudden entrance. Listen, I'm not looking for any conflict. I simply carry out my responsibilities and make an effort to avoid any interference with him. You deserve better than to be in such an environment, Ethan asserted with conviction. Maria let out a deep breath. It's not only me. He's tough on everyone, but since people need the hours, we keep quiet. It's not as if the corporation truly cares. A wave of guilt washed over Ethan. He was entrenched in the corporate world, completely oblivious to the realities unfolding in his own stores. He nodded, thoughts swirling in a whirlwind. I appreciate you sharing that with me, he replied. I assure you, everything is about to shift. Maria shot him a doubtful glance but remained silent. As the evening wore on, Ethan found himself in his car, jotting down thoughts on a legal pad. He had witnessed enough to understand that the issues extended beyond just Carl. The atmosphere of the store was thick with apprehension and apathy, as staff members hesitated to voice their concerns while management remained disturbingly unconcerned. He resolved that the moment had come to unveil his true self. The following morning, Ethan made his way to the restaurant ahead of schedule, clad in his usual professional outfit. Upon entering the store, he requested to have a conversation with the manager. Carl showed up a few minutes later, his irritation evident. How may I assist you? Ethan reached out his hand. Ethan Graves, CEO. Carl's complexion drained of color. His gaze flickered toward the door, contemplating a possible exit, yet he swiftly masked his thoughts with a smile. Oh wow, Mr. Graves. What a surprise. Let's discuss this in the office, Ethan stated, his tone firm and unyielding. Within the confined workspace, Ethan was quick to act. This week, I arrived incognito and witnessed directly how you interact with your team. This is simply not acceptable, Carl stammered, attempting to justify his actions. I was merely attempting to maintain a seamless operation. You understand the challenge of locating reliable employees in this day and age. Ethan raised a hand to hush him. Hold on, that's sufficient. You show a lack of respect for your employees, and that tarnishes the reputation of this company. Effective immediately, you are terminated. Carl's jaw dropped, but he remained silent. He understood that it was futile. Once Carl departed, Ethan convened the team in the dining area. Maria, Kevin, and the rest of the team appeared puzzled yet intrigued. I'm Ethan Graves, the leader of this organization, he started. This week, I took on a different persona to uncover the true happenings within my stores. What I witnessed here was utterly intolerable. Everyone deserves to feel respected and valued in their workplace, he said, looking at Maria. Maria, your commitment and hard work have certainly caught our attention. Starting today, you're being elevated to shift supervisor, and your pay will reflect that. Maria's eyes widened. Excuse me, what did you just say? Is this for real? Absolutely, Ethan replied, a grin spreading across his face. He pressed on, speaking to the rest of the team. Transformations are on the horizon. Everyone will be provided with comprehensive training, improved schedules, and a secure workplace. And if anyone ever feels mistreated, my door is always open. The room burst into applause, and Maria brushed away tears of relief. As Ethan exited the store that day, a fresh wave of determination washed over him. This was more than a matter of profits. It was fundamentally about individuals. He was determined to ensure that no one in his company would ever feel overlooked again. Ethan stepped out of the restaurant, the echoes of applause from the staff lingering in his ears, the heaviness of his choice to let Carl go, and the commitments he had made to the team swirling within him. Thoughts surged through his mind as he settled into the driver's seat. He understood that the toughest challenges lay ahead. This was merely the start. Addressing a single store's issues was insignificant if the underlying problems persisted throughout the system. Carl wasn't the affliction. He was merely a manifestation of it. By noon, Ethan returned to his office, sifting through the weekly reports for each location. The grievances were not confined to just that single store. Comparable remarks had emerged from various other locations. Frequent delays, impolite staff, and elevated turnover rates were prevalent issues. He jotted down notes with intense fervor, his irritation mounting. How could he have overlooked this? A sudden knock at his office door broke the silence of his contemplation. It was Claire, his operations director, a person he had relied on to manage the stores. She appeared uncertain as she entered. "You requested my presence," she remarked, her eyes drifting to the pile of documents on his desk. Ethan clasped his hands together. "It's time to discuss the situation unfolding in the stores. I recently dedicated the past week to an undercover assignment at one of those places." Claire's eyes grew large with surprise. "Covert operation?" "Indeed," Ethan remarked, his voice cutting, "and what I witnessed was intolerable. Workers facing unfair treatment, leaders misusing their authority, and a total collapse of the environment I believed we had established. How did it reach this point without anyone bringing it to my attention?" Claire adjusted her position, feeling a sense of unease. "I had no idea it was that serious. I frequent the stores, and the managers consistently reassure me that everything is operating seamlessly. It seems I placed too much trust in what they said." "That's part of the issue," Ethan remarked, his tone becoming a touch gentler. "There are excessive barriers separating those in leadership from the individuals working on the front lines. I allowed myself to drift apart, and I take responsibility for that. However, it's time to address the situation," Claire acknowledged, her demeanor solemn. "What's the strategy?" Ethan reclined in his chair, feeling the tightness in his shoulders begin to dissipate. "Initially, I will be having individual meetings with each manager over the upcoming fortnight. It's essential not only to listen to their perspective but also to ensure they grasp the expectations I have in mind. Additionally, I seek a system that allows employees to provide feedback anonymously, a resource they can utilize without the worry of consequences." "That's a solid beginning," Claire remarked, "but what about the pressing concerns in the stores? It's impossible to be in multiple places simultaneously." Ethan announced that he is promoting Maria to interim manager at the store he visited. "She has demonstrated her competence and genuine concern for the team. I will also dispatch a support team to assist her in stabilizing the situation. Regarding the other stores, we must pinpoint additional employees like her. Individuals who are excelling yet remain unacknowledged." Claire hesitated. "And the managers who aren't meeting expectations?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "They will either rise to the occasion or bow out." A week later, Ethan made an unexpected return to the same restaurant. The ambience was distinctly altered. Maria, now donned in a manager's uniform, stood at the counter taking orders with a serene yet assured presence. The team operated with greater intent, and the patrons appeared to be more relaxed. Ethan observed from a secluded booth as Maria made her way toward Kevin, who was busy cleaning the tables. "Hey Kevin," she said, her tone gentle yet resolute. "The dining area is being maintained beautifully. Would you mind lending a hand in the kitchen for a little while? They are lacking sufficient personnel." Kevin nodded with enthusiasm. "Absolutely, Maria." Ethan found himself unable to suppress a smile. Maria possessed an innate ability to lead. She wasn't merely issuing commands. She was cultivating admiration. After some time, Maria noticed Ethan and approached him, her demeanor careful. "Mr. Graves, your presence here is quite a surprise to me." Ethan expressed a desire to touch base. How are you doing? Maria paused for a moment, then a smile spread across her face. It has improved. There is a noticeable effort among individuals, and the sense of unity within the team is growing, though it still has room for improvement. There remains much to be addressed. Ethan gave a slight nod. That's sincere, and that's everything I could hope for. Your efforts here are truly commendable, Maria. Maintain the momentum. Just as she was about to reply, a customer at the counter interrupted with a call. Pardon me, madam. My order is missing fries. Maria swiftly pivoted to face the counter. I'll take care of it, she stated, offering a swift nod as she made her exit. Ethan observed her departure, his heart brimming with a blend of pride and resolve. This marked the inception, yet it served as evidence that even minor adjustments could create far-reaching effects. After 2 weeks, Ethan had explored 6 out of the 10 locations of the company. He had encountered managers who were flourishing and others who were just getting by. He had heard employees recount tales of unjust treatment, absence of acknowledgement, and exhaustion. He had begun to put into action essential leadership training, improved scheduling practices, and a fresh reward system for those employees who excelled. One evening, as Ethan sat in his office poring over the latest feedback from the anonymous system, a particular message drew his attention. I appreciate your attention. After a long time, it seems that those in power genuinely show concern. Ethan reclined in his chair, the phrases resonating within him. He still had a long way to go, that was for sure. For the first time in ages, he sensed that he was guiding the company towards the right path. He reached for his phone and called Maria, her number still fresh from their last encounter. Hello, she replied, her voice wavering. Maria, this is Ethan, he stated. I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the fantastic work you're doing, and I've been reflecting on it. Once your temporary tenure as manager concludes, I would like to see it become a lasting position. I'd love to hear your thoughts. A lengthy silence ensued, and then Maria's voice faltered just a bit. Indeed, it would be a privilege. Thank you, Sir Graves, I appreciate it, Ethan expressed, for demonstrating the true essence of leadership. As he ended the call, Ethan experienced a newfound clarity that had eluded him for years. This endeavor transcended mere corporate rescue. It was about crafting an enterprise he could genuinely take pride in. He was determined not to let that opportunity slip through his fingers once more. 3 months later, Ethan found himself at a podium in the company's training center, addressing a room filled with managers from all 10 locations. The atmosphere hummed with a subtle sense of expectation. This meeting was mandatory, he had emphasized that point. All managers were mandated to participate in the inaugural leadership summit following the covert operation that had profoundly unsettled the company. Behind him, a screen showcased 2 words in striking bold: reset culture. Ethan clutched the sides of the podium, his gaze sweeping across the room. Some expressions appeared enthusiastic, while others seemed cautious. Several managers completely averted his gaze. Among them, he recognized those he had pinpointed as vulnerable during his visits, managers who had received warnings, been placed on probation, or given explicit feedback for improvement. This was their opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to transformation. Thank you all for gathering here, Ethan started, his voice steady yet resolute. When I embarked on this venture, I envisioned creating something extraordinary, not merely a destination that delights customers, but a workplace that instills pride in its members. A place that cherishes each individual who enters, regardless of whether they come to dine or to contribute their efforts. He took a moment, allowing the words to linger in the air. Yet, at some point in our journey, we veered off course from that vision. I lost track of that. The atmosphere was utterly still. 3 months back, I immersed myself in one of our stores incognito. The behavior I witnessed was completely unacceptable and indicative of a toxic leadership environment. Workers are burdened, undervalued, and overlooked. Customers are feeling frustrated, and the culture is in disarray. A soft murmur flowed through the room, yet Ethan lifted his hand to hush it. I'm not here to assign blame. I'm here to make it right. However, addressing this issue begins with taking responsibility from myself and from each individual present here. Ethan pressed a button on the podium, causing the screen behind him to shift to a display of ongoing initiatives. An anonymous feedback system has been put into place. 70% of managers have successfully completed the mandatory leadership training. A new employee recognition program has been launched. Surveys reflecting a 30% enhancement in employee satisfaction. These are more than mere figures, Ethan continued. These are the measures to restore confidence. This marks not the end, but the beginning of a new journey. His eyes drifted to the back corner of the room, where Maria was seated next to Claire. Maria's elevation to the role of permanent manager was met with widespread acclaim, and she swiftly emerged as a shining example of effective leadership. Ethan had extended an invitation for her to speak today, and despite her nerves, she had accepted. Maria, Ethan replied with a slight nod. Maria stood, smoothing her blazer, a stark contrast to the uniform she had donned when Ethan first encountered her. She approached the podium, her hands quivering just a bit as she held onto the microphone. Greetings, everyone, she started, her voice gaining strength as she continued. In the past, I worked as a cashier at one of our stores. For an extended period, I experienced a sense of invisibility. I put in a lot of effort, yet it felt like it made no difference. My supervisor, let's just say he made me feel out of place. A number of managers adjusted their positions, clearly uneasy. Yet, an opportunity came my way. A listener was present. And now I find myself in charge of the very store where I once felt overlooked. Let me share with you the changes we are implementing. They exist. My team is aware of it. My clients are aware of it. I trust that each of you will return to your stores and ensure they experience it as well. Cheers filled the room. Maria cast a quick look at Ethan, who responded with a reassuring smile as she settled back into her seat. As the applause faded away, Ethan took a step forward once more. Maria's journey illustrates that transformation can occur, yet it requires effort and intention. It requires effort and it demands guidance. That's your role to play. He allowed the gravity of his words to linger in the atmosphere. In the upcoming 6 months, each store will be subject to a comprehensive evaluation, focusing on aspects ranging from customer service to employee satisfaction. Managers who meet the new standards will be rewarded, while those who fall short will face consequences. He allowed the sentence to fade away, the implication unmistakable. Later that afternoon, following the conclusion of the summit, Ethan lingered to engage in personal discussions with several managers who had sought his attention. One of them was Kevin, not the young employee from Maria's store, but a manager whom Ethan had noted during his visits for his harsh leadership approach. Kevin had just managed to escape termination by accepting a probationary period and engaging in leadership coaching. Mr. Graves, Kevin remarked, entering the room with a bashful look on his face. Kevin, Ethan said, motioning for him to take a seat. What thoughts are swirling in your head? Kevin paused, letting out a deep sigh. I appreciate your unwavering support after your visit to my store. It truly made an impact on me. I realized I wasn't the leader I believed myself to be. I've been putting in the effort, and I believe progress is being made. However, I would like to inquire about ways to continue my growth. What steps can I take to prevent myself from reverting to past behaviors? Ethan leaned in, a gentle look crossing his face. Your inquiry indicates a positive direction. The essence lies in attuning your ears to your team, your customers, and your own inner voice. Embrace the courage to acknowledge your mistakes and seek assistance when needed. Leadership is not about achieving perfection. It revolves around taking responsibility. Kevin nodded with a measured pace, his shoulders easing into a state of calm. I appreciate it, and I will continue to refine my efforts. As Kevin departed, Ethan cast a look at the clock. The clock approached 7 p.m., yet the tasks of the day remained unfinished. He reached for his phone and launched the company's latest feedback application. Every store maintained a dedicated channel for employees to propose ideas, address concerns, or recount uplifting experiences. As he scrolled, a particular message drew his attention. Maria stands out as the finest manager we've ever had. She truly hears us and ensures we feel appreciated. I appreciate your support in advancing her career. It has truly transformed everything." Ethan beamed, his heart brimming with pride. This went beyond merely mending what was damaged. It was about creating something more resilient. After a long time, he finally grasped the essence of his company once more, and he was determined not to let it escape from his grasp.